Hey everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing a Raid Shadow Legends, and we are continuing our series of talking about all of the different Hydra heads, understanding what they do and how to combat them, and which champions are best to use against each head. So, we're on to the Head of Decay. The Head of Decay here. Alright. This is not a part of the current rotation, but it can pop up, right? It can pop up. So as of now, we have 6 different heads involved. We don't have that fancy one that looks like a lightning head. I don't know what's happening there. He looks cool though, right? You guys see that? You guys know what I'm talking about. But I'm guessing that's coming. They said they're going to add more Hydra heads in the future. So now, we're lucky enough that we don't start off with this evil head. But he comes in, and if he does come, I think personally, if he comes within the first drop of the heads, I get out now in this current rotation too, because I'm not setting up to have to worry about the Head of Decay. That's not part of my plans. My plans are, assuming the Head of Decay is not there. Head of Decay, AoE, sorry, no AoE. Why did I just say AoE? Attacks the enemy with the lowest HP, places a heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. Simple enough. Heal reduction debuff though. Definitely are always bringing in people that are healing with these Hydra runs. Even the passive heals like Siphi, or, well, not passive, but you know what I mean. Siphi, Cardiel, those kind of people are really great. Doom Priest. But luckily we have people like Ugo that can cleanse. And she always removes heal reduction debuffs plus another debuff, where general cleansers are going to be needed here to help avoid this heal reduction debuff. You also can avoid this heal reduction debuff by simply resisting it. So let's pull up the Hell Hades stages tool. We're looking at Brutal Hydra at the moment for sake of conversation. So it looks like you need a 370 resistance to counteract the accuracy of the Head of Decay for this rotation, or for this level. It's going to vary depending on which level of Hydra you're fighting, of course. So you can resist that heal reduction debuff. Simple enough. Its decapitation effect. Whenever this head is decapitated, it heals all enemy champions by 30% of their max HP and then restores the max HP of any enemy champions whose max HP has been decreased. That's nice because, well, it decreases your max HP, but we'll get to that. Let's talk about what the worst part of this head, right? Ugh. Removes all debuffs from all heads, then fills turn meters of all heads by 30%. So, how do you stop it, right? Oh boy. So this is the hard part. When it gets ready for this skill, when the skill's on cooldown, just make sure you're timing your debuffs accordingly. You don't want to just have placed decreased defense and weaken, and then it cleanses right before you're about to smash. You don't want to have placed block buffs to be ready to combat the Head of Blight, and then it cleanses, and you're like, ugh. Be careful of your timing, and you need to pay attention to cooldowns. That's one of the biggest things with Hydra that will help you greatly, is once you take the time to pay attention to the cooldown of each skill, and you can plan your buffs and debuffs accordingly, you're going to be in a lot better place. So there is sort of one way to combat this now. They actually, you'll notice down here what it's immune to. They took away Provoke. Now, it doesn't describe it here in this little boss guide, which is not the full descriptions of all these abilities, honestly. But they added Provoke as some way to control this head, sort of. So any champion that can place Provoke on the head is going to make sure that it only does its A1 skill, Agonizing Jaws. So you can, if you keep Provoke on the head consistently, it's never going to cleanse. But keeping Provoke on the head consistently is pretty hard. Someone that's really good for this is actually Kantra. Kantra has an ability where she places Provoke on the head at the beginning of her turn if the head has, I think, 5 or more debuffs on it at the beginning of her turn. So if you actually have enough debuffs going on in your comps, which can include those poisons from, this one's not immune to poison, right? This is the other one. Yeah, this one is not immune to poison, so Tomb Lord with those poisons, so 4 poisons, Shamel within a toxic set, happen to throw some poisons on him too, or just Kantra with all her throwing of random debuffs on everybody, which is so great. She's gonna actually be able to place provoke pretty often if you can keep that up, but it's really hard to keep that up, so it depends on which people you have involved in yours, and if you can actually keep 5 debuffs on him at all times, which is kind of rough. But if that's the case and you're using Kentra, you're in a good place, because then you don't have to worry about the cleanse. You don't have to worry about this terrible cleanse. Oh boy. There's also people like Husk that have it on their A1, but it's a lower percent chance to land, so that's kind of hard. So if you're relying on only that, you're not going to have it up all the time. But you might be able to use it when it's about to come in clutch, where you still have decreased defense and weaken up, and you know someone's about to do their smash, and you want to provoke the head to keep it one more turn of letting you smash, and then, okay, go ahead and cleanse afterward. So you can kind of try to I guess, control the head that way. I kind of surprised that this boss guide here in game doesn't properly describe some of that. It's been changed, but it is what it is. But that's why you have us, right? That's why we're here. We're here to make sure you guys are aware of these changes and ways to combat these terrible bosses. Oh, Hydra's fun. Hydra's fun. All right, so here's the second part of this cleansing skill, right? Skill number 3 here. Removes all debuffs from the head with the lowest HP, then places life barrier buff on them for 4 turns. The life barrier buff cannot be removed or stolen. So, what do you gotta do? Life barrier comes up. It's like a shield. You have to break down the life barrier in time, or else it heals completely. So, you don't wanna... I mean, this, like I said, this can come in handy when you're dealing with the Head of Torment, and you have Shamel on your team, and you want the Head of Torment to stay up. You're worried about who's going to pop up instead of the Head of Torment, you just let the Head of Torment stay up. If you can. It's kind of hard, honestly, because you end up doing so much damage to him. But if you can let the Head of Torment reheal, yay! But otherwise, you're probably going to want to take down that life barrier in time before the boss heals back to full HP. We don't want that. And that's what life barrier does. It takes the champion from whatever their HP is now to full HP if you don't break down that life barrier. So this is rough. Again, this can be prevented if the Head of Decay is provoked. So there's tons of provoked champions in the game. We gotta call out Solus, who's amazing in Arena and stuff too. But he actually smacks really hard, and he has 2 skills with provoke. He's really good for this now, for sake of especially the lower levels, like normal and hard. He actually hits really hard, and he can keep provoke up fairly well. And then there's also Molly has a good cooldown with her provokes, and she's a reviver. So if you want someone with provoke that also has good utility, I would probably say the best options are Kantra, if you know you're going to have a lot of debuffs. And Kantra does provide some of those debuffs, but usually only 1, 2, or 3 at a time. It's not like she throws every single debuff on each head every time. And then Kantra, Solus, Molly, and I would say Umbral, but the problem is Umbral, when she uses her A3, she locks out her A2, which is the block buffs, which is really important for these Hydra runs in general. So I don't think I'd want to use Umbral's provoke in general for Hydra, unless you have a seer on the team that's going to strip off the buff from Umbral when she does damage. So that way... Oh, wait, no, they changed that. Never mind. I take that back. Didn't they change that so that way you can't actually strip that from Umbral, so you can't pair them together? Ugh, never mind. Never mind. I take that back. I don't think she's the best for the role of provoke on the Head of Decay. She is the best for the role of block buffs, though, because she's a 3-turn cooldown, I think it is. It's really good, and it's a 3-turn block buffs, so... Anyway, let's go back to the Head of Decay here. So, whenever an enemy champion is healed, decreases their max HP by 15% of the value of the heal, up to 75% of their max HP. You'll notice your bars will just go down, 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 down. If you're bringing in someone like a Siphi or a Cardial, that's someone to just be very aware of. Rask, Doom Priest on the epic ends there. If you're doing lots of healing, you're gonna be suffering from a lower HP, which the Head of Decay plus the Head of Wrath is kind of a bad combination, isn't it? You decrease your max HP to where you can only heal so much, and then the Head of Wrath comes in, and you don't even have much HP left because of the Head of Decay. So you're really going to want to hopefully be able to take down the Head of Decay and decapitate it. So that way when it's decapitated, it restores your max HP. At least 50% of it, right? That it actually took down. So it decreases your max HP, and then when you decapitate it, it gives some back at least. But this can be really, really rough if you want to watch your health just get smaller and smaller if you're healing too often. So be careful. Heal carefully. Don't bring in a bunch of people at the same time that have massive heals, and don't heal when you don't have to, because you're just going to be hurting yourself in the end and risking your max HP getting really, really low. So as mentioned, this head can be poisoned, but it does decrease the damage you take from poisons. But hey, any damage is still helpful, so feel free to throw some poisons on it, especially from that Tomb Lord or from the Shamel in a Toxic set. Not a bad thing. And then decreases the damage of all heads take of AoEs by 10%. So when he's in your team, you do have to worry about this damage mitigation, which I think there's always someone, isn't there? I feel like there's always someone that affects these AoEs. So this is why, unfortunately, we were worried in the beginning that enemy max HP AoE hitters like Husk and Royal Guard were not going to be viable because of this. It's a bummer, right? It decreases their damage, but in the end, their damage is still really good and still completely worth it. So don't be too scared here by this fact of damage mitigation, and then also this statement of the max HP cannot exceed 10% of the head's max HP when attacked. Don't worry, you can still use those characters. They're still very viable. And then, of course, just like the others, HP burn can only do 20,000 HP. And then Reflect Damage War Master Giant Slayer cannot exceed 50,000 HP. It's also immune to Stun, Freeze, Sleep, Block Active Skills, Block Passive Skills, Fear, True Fear, Petrification debuffs, and immune to HP exchanges, HP balancing effects, cooldown increasing effects, max HP reduction effects, and turn meter reduction effects. So this is where you could see Provoke was taken out for this head, so that at least they gave it an interesting mechanic in a way to help combat it. It also makes some champions relevant that weren't relevant before. Not so bad, but I know I have to say I'm enjoying a round of Hydra without the Head of Decay involved at the moment. And I did get lucky on a couple of my runs that I did, and I did not have the Head of Decay pop up until the very end, and I just let it be. I'm like, it is what it is, it's fine. I didn't quite one key brutal because of it, but I'm just happy with progression and getting better each time and working on my champions, so that way every time I get to another round of Hydra, I'm better and better and better, and my champions are more and more prepared. So hope you guys are doing the same and learning and growing with Hydra and taking advantage of the actual rewards, because they're good, guys. The clan shop is good. You want that clan gold. So even if you're just doing the lowest level of Hydra, you're doing normal and hard, you can do some of those on full auto. Just do it. Just try. Throw it on full auto with some tough people. Trun does do really well against the normal head, honestly. And just some sheer damage. Ninja HP burn is really good, especially on the hard and normal levels of Hydra. So it's worth it though, guys, even though there's annoying heads like the Head of Decay. Every head's annoying, let's be honest. They all just are annoying for different reasons. I'm trying my best to still work and progress with Hydra myself, so. Alright, well, I hope you guys are enjoying this series. If you missed the other videos, go ahead and check them out. And we're gonna go on to the next Head of Suffering, so I'll see you guys in the next video.